I want to check one missed mortgage payment. Then a woman opened my house in a silk robe. My brother came behind her, pale and shaking. I asked where our parents were. He grabbed my arm and whispered, "Please don't tell my fiancé this house is yours." I stood in the doorway, staring at my younger brother like I had walked into the wrong life. The woman behind him looked from me to him, then back at me, her expression shifting from confusion to suspicion. "Your house?" she asked. My brother's grip tightened around my arm. "Please," he whispered again. "Not here." That was when I realized the problem was not one missed payment. It was not a banking error. It was not some misunderstanding that could be fixed with a phone call. It was a lie. A lie big enough to swallow my credit, my future, and everything I had spent years building. And somehow, I was the last person in my own family to know. 3 days later, my phone would not stop buzzing. I had left it face down on my kitchen counter because I couldn't stand seeing another name light up on the screen. My aunt. My cousin. My mother. People who had not asked how I was in months were suddenly treating me like I had destroyed the family with my bare hands. My Aunt April texted, "You should be ashamed of yourself." My cousin Jenna wrote, "I hope being right was worth losing everyone." Then my mother left a voicemail. She was not yelling. That almost made it worse. Her voice was low, tired, and cold. "You got what you wanted," she said. "You saved yourself. I hope your money keeps you warm at night because you do not have a family anymore." I listened to it twice. Not because I wanted to hurt myself. Because some part of me still could not believe my own mother was talking to me like that. For most of my life, I was the daughter who did not need anything. That was the role they gave me before I was old enough to understand it. My brother Tyler needed patience. Tyler needed support. Tyler needed second chances. I needed to understand. When we were kids, if Tyler broke something, my mother said he was overwhelmed. If I broke something, I was careless. If Tyler quit something, he was finding himself. If I quit anything, I lacked discipline. If Tyler borrowed money and never paid it back, he was going through a rough time. If I said no, I was selfish. So I learned to become useful, careful, quiet. I worked hard, saved money, protected my credit, and built a life that did not depend on anyone else keeping their promises. Then my parents showed up at my apartment one evening without calling first. My mother, Lauren, had clearly been crying before I opened the door. My father, Travis, stood behind her with his shoulders slumped, looking older than I remembered. "Can we come in?" my mother asked. I stepped aside. They sat on my couch like two people waiting for bad news to be read out loud. My mother twisted a tissue between her fingers. My father stared at the floor. Their landlord was selling the house they had rented for years. They had 30 days to leave. Their credit was too damaged to qualify for another decent place. Every application had been rejected. "We are not asking you to pay for us," my mother said quickly. "We would never do that." I did not answer. She reached for my hand. "We just need your name." I pulled back a little. "My name for what?" "A mortgage," my father said quietly. I stared at him. My mother leaned forward, speaking faster now. "You have good credit. The bank would approve you. We would make every payment. Every month. It would only be on paper." "On paper," I repeated. "Yes," she said. "In a few years, once our credit is better, we refinance. We take your name off everything. You would not even have to think about it." I should have said no. That is the simple answer. The smart answer. The answer I would give anyone else if they told me this story. But real life feels different when your parents are sitting in front of you crying. My father looked at me and said, "We just need somewhere to live, Sid." Sid. He had not called me that in years. And suddenly, I was not a grown woman with bills and boundaries. I was the little girl who had spent her whole life hoping her parents would look at her and see someone worth choosing. So I said yes. The house was simple. A 3-bedroom place in a quiet suburb. A small porch. A narrow driveway. A backyard that needed work. Nothing fancy. That was part of how I convinced myself it was safe. My parents cried when the loan was approved. My mother hugged me and whispered, "You saved us." For once, those words felt good. I handled the paperwork. I read the forms. I asked questions. I made sure the monthly payment was something my parents insisted they could afford. The deed went in my name. The mortgage went in my name. My parents promised the payment would come from their account every month. They said it was temporary. They said they were grateful. They said I had nothing to worry about. For the first year, everything looked fine. Every now and then I checked the mortgage portal. Paid. 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 I let myself feel proud. Not because I wanted the house, but because I thought I had finally done something my family could not dismiss. After that, my parents slowly called less. At first, I thought they were embarrassed. Then I thought maybe things were simply calm. I did not want to help and then hold it over their heads, so I gave them space. Tyler, of course, stayed Tyler. He posted photos at nice restaurants. He talked about vague business moves that never seemed to have details. He wore expensive clothes and acted like every room was lucky to have him. Whenever I asked my mother how he was paying for that lifestyle, she got defensive. "Your brother is doing better," she would say. "Doing what?" "Don't interrogate me, Sydney." That was always where the conversation ended. A few months later, Tyler got engaged. Her name was Madison. She was polished in a way that made my family suddenly act like we had always been more impressive than we were. My mother posted pictures from the engagement dinner with captions about blessings, destiny, and how proud she was of her son. I saw the photos online because nobody invited me. Tyler stood beside Madison with one arm around her waist, smiling like a man who had never been late on anything in his life. My mother called me the next day. "Madison is wonderful," she said. "Her family is very established." I knew what she meant. Madison came from money. Not loud money. Quiet money. The kind that showed up in small details, expensive habits, and parents who asked careful questions before approving anyone. "This could really change Tyler's life," my mother said. "Change it how?" She paused. "Don't be negative." I asked a normal question. "You always do this," she snapped. "You can never just be happy for him." That was the family script. If I noticed something strange, I was jealous. If I asked for details, I was bitter. If Tyler's story had holes, I was the problem for pointing at them. So I stopped asking. 3 years after I signed those mortgage papers, I decided I wanted a home of my own. Not a family rescue project. Mine. I had saved carefully. I had no major debt besides the mortgage I believed my parents were paying. I found a condo I loved. It was not huge, but it had big windows, good light, and enough space for the life I wanted next. I sent my information to Nicole, the loan officer helping me with the pre-approval. I expected it to be simple. Instead, she called me 2 days later with a voice that made my hand go cold around the phone. "Sydney," she said gently, "I need to ask you about the mortgage connected to your name." I sat down. "What about it?" There was a pause. "It is showing serious late payments. Multiple ones." My mouth went dry. "That's not possible." "I'm looking at the report now," she said. "The account is behind. Your credit score has dropped significantly. The system will not approve your condo application with this on your file." For a moment, I could only hear my heartbeat. How behind? Enough that the lender has started default notices. "It has not reached the final stage yet, but you need to act quickly." The room went silent. I called my mother first. No answer. I called my father. No answer. I called Tyler. Straight to voicemail. Then I sent one message to all 3 of them. "What is happening with the mortgage? Call me now." Nobody answered for almost 2 hours. That was when fear turned into something sharper. If my parents were in trouble, they would have called me crying. If it was a mistake, they would have panicked. But silence meant they already knew. I grabbed my keys and drove to the house. The whole drive, I tried to stay reasonable. Maybe my father had gotten sick. Maybe my mother had lost income. Maybe they were ashamed. Maybe there was an explanation painful enough to make sense. I even told myself that if they were drowning, I would help them figure it out. I was angry, but they were still my parents. Then I pulled into the neighborhood and saw a shiny black car in the driveway where my father's old truck should have been. I knew something was wrong before I even knocked. The front door opened, and Madison stood there like she belonged. She wore a silk robe, her hair perfectly done, holding a mug like she had been having the calmest morning of her life. Behind her, I could see the entryway. New furniture. Fresh paint. A large mirror. A vase of white flowers. None of it looked like my parents. None of it looked like the people who had sat on my couch and cried about needing somewhere to live. "Can I help you?" Madison asked. I looked past her. "I'm looking for my parents." She frowned. "Your parents?" Before I could answer, Tyler appeared behind her. He was barefoot, wearing a soft gray shirt. His face relaxed until he saw me. Then all the color drained from him. "Sydney," he said. Madison turned toward him. "You know her?" He moved fast. Too fast. He stepped between us, grabbed my arm, and lowered his voice. "Please don't tell my fiancé this house is yours." I stared at his hand. Then his face. Then Madison. "What did you just say?" He swallowed. "Let's talk outside." No. Sydney, please. I pulled my arm away. Where are Mom and Dad? Madison's expression changed. Tyler. He ignored her. Sydney, you are making this worse. I haven't even started. Madison took one step back. What is happening? I turned to her. I'm Sydney, Tyler's sister. I'm also the person whose name is on this house. Her face went blank. Then she laughed once, but it was not real laughter. That's not funny. I'm not joking. She looked at Tyler. You told me this was your house. Tyler's jaw tightened. I can explain. That sentence told me enough. The argument moved from the doorway to the front yard because Tyler kept trying to shut the door, and I refused to be hidden. He said I was embarrassing him. I told him he had done that himself. Madison stood on the porch, arms wrapped around herself. Where are your parents? She asked him. Tyler rubbed his face. They're nearby. Nearby where? He did not answer. So I called my mother. This time, she picked up. Sydney, she said carefully. I'm at the house. Silence. I watched Tyler close his eyes. I'm standing with Tyler and Madison, I said. I know you don't live here. My mother made a small sound. Not shock. Not confusion. A tired sound, like I had finally opened a door she had been leaning against. Sydney, she said, please don't do this right now. Where do you live? She did not answer. Where do you live? In an apartment, she said. Madison covered her mouth. My brother turned away. I felt something inside me go still. How long? My mother whispered, a while. How long? She sighed. Almost 2 years. 2 years. For almost 2 years, my parents had not lived in the house I bought for them. For almost 2 years, Tyler had been living there. For almost 2 years, they had let me believe I had saved them. The truth came out in pieces. Tyler had met Madison not long after my parents moved in. Madison's family had money, and Tyler wanted to look like the kind of man who belonged in that world. My parents thought Madison was his chance at a better life. So they gave him the house. Not legally. Not honestly. They moved out, handed him the keys, and let him pretend. Madison believed Tyler owned it. Her friends believed it. Her parents believed it. My mother had even helped him decorate before Madison's family came over. I looked at Tyler. You let her think this was yours? He snapped. I was going to fix it. How? I had opportunities. Is that what you call lying? His face hardened. You don't understand the pressure I was under. The pressure he was under. Not the mortgage in my name. Not my damaged credit. Not the home I lost the chance to buy. His pressure. Madison stepped down from the porch. Tyler, did you buy this house? He said nothing. Did you? No, he said finally. Her face changed in a way I will never forget. It was not just anger. It was heartbreak mixed with disgust. Then my mother started talking through the phone again. Sydney, listen to me. This can still be handled. I lifted the phone back to my ear. Handled? Yes, she said. You are doing fine. You have savings. You can catch up the payments, and we can figure out the rest later. I stared at the house. The flowers. The car. The woman on the porch realizing her engagement was built on a lie. You want me to pay? Just the missed amount, my mother said. Enough to stop the notices. For Tyler. For the family. There it was. The phrase they always used when they wanted me to disappear inside someone else's need. My mother lowered her voice. If Madison leaves him, this will ruin him. I looked at Tyler. He was watching me with an expression I recognized. Expectation. Not shame. Not fear. Expectation. He thought I would do it because I always fix things. Because I was responsible. Because I was Sydney and Sydney survived. I said no. My mother went silent. I am not paying for this lie. Tyler stepped toward me. You can't just blow up my life. I looked at him. You moved into mine. Then I hung up. I got in my car and drove away without another word. My hands shook the entire way home, but I did not turn back. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. I had barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Madison at the door. I heard my mother saying, for the family. I saw Tyler standing in the yard like my boundaries were just another inconvenience. For a few minutes, I let myself cry. Then I got up, made coffee, and opened every document connected to the house. The mortgage. The deed. The closing paperwork. The notices from the lender. I checked everything slowly because I did not want to make a decision based only on anger. By mid-morning, the truth was clear. The house was legally mine. My parents were never added to the deed. Tyler had no lease, no ownership, and no written agreement giving him the right to live there. But the debt was mine too. That was the part my family kept pretending did not matter. If the mortgage collapsed, it would be my credit. If the lender moved forward, it would be my record. If anyone had to answer for the unpaid account, it would be me. I called the lender first. The woman I spoke to was polite but firm. The account needed to be brought current quickly. If not, the process would continue. I asked for the exact payoff amount. Then I called Brett. I knew him through work circles, not as a close friend, but as someone who understood property deals and could move quickly. I told him I had a house I needed to sell fast. He asked, "Is someone living there?" I closed my eyes. Yes, a family member. No lease. That can get messy. It already is. I sent him the paperwork. He reviewed the numbers, the mortgage balance, the condition of the property, and the market value. Because the house had gained value, there was equity. Not as much as I might have gotten with a slow, careful sale, but enough to pay off the lender, clear the late amount, and leave me with something after the damage. Brett called back that afternoon. "I can make you a cash offer," he said. "It will be below full market because my company would take on the occupant issue and the risk. But it can close fast if the title is clean." How fast? About a week. A week. After 3 years of believing I was helping my parents, a week was all it took to cut the rope. Before signing, I called a property attorney. I told him the basics. The deed was in my name. The mortgage was in my name. A family member was living there without a lease. The account was delinquent. A buyer was willing to purchase the property as is and handle possession legally after closing. The attorney was clear. "You can sell property you legally own," he said. "But do not remove anyone yourself. Do not change locks. Do not touch belongings. Let the buyer handle the proper legal process." That was the difference between revenge and control. Revenge would have been driving there and throwing Tyler's things onto the lawn. Control was signing documents, following the law, and refusing to keep bleeding for people who had lied to me. So I signed. I did not warn Tyler. I did not call my mother. I did not ask my father for permission to save myself. Maybe that is the part people judge me for most. But I keep coming back to one question. When were they going to warn me? When my credit was damaged beyond repair? When the foreclosure process moved forward? When the condo I wanted slipped away? When I was left explaining a disaster I never even lived in? They had months to tell me. They chose silence. So I chose action. The sale closed 8 days later. The lender was paid. The delinquent balance was cleared. The mortgage was no longer mine. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe without feeling like a hand was around my throat. But peace only lasted until Tyler found out. He called me 17 times in 1 hour. I did not answer. Then the messages started. "What did you do? Call me right now. You had no right. You ruined everything." My mother called next. Then my father. Then my aunt. Then my cousin. The family machine had finally woken up. Not when my credit was in danger. Not when my name was attached to unpaid debt. Only when Tyler's lie had consequences. Brett's company handled everything legally. They served formal notice, offered Tyler a short window to leave without dragging it into a longer process, and made it clear that if he refused, they would go through the proper channels. Tyler folded faster than I expected. Not because he was sorry. Because Madison found out everything. She had already been suspicious after the confrontation. Once the ownership records changed and the notice arrived, there was nothing left for him to explain away. Madison called me once. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Her voice was calm. Too calm. "Did he ever own the house?" she asked. "No." "Did your parents know he was telling me he did?" "Yes." A shaky breath came through the phone. "Did you know?" "No," I said. "Not until I came there." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I'm sorry." Those 2 words nearly broke me. Not because she owed them to me. Because she was the first person in the whole mess who had said them. Madison ended the engagement that day. Her father came to get her things. Tyler moved out before the deadline with the help of a friend and a rented van. There was no dramatic scene. No shouting on the lawn. No grand movie moment. Just boxes. A dead engagement. And a house that no longer belonged to any of us. After that, my family treated me like I had personally destroyed him. My mother said Madison was his future. My aunt said I could have waited. My cousin said I had always been jealous. My father left one message that hurt more than the rest. "I know mistakes were made," he said. "But you didn't have to be so final." So final. That was the word he used. Not betrayed. Not lied to. Not used. Final. As if I had ended something that was still healthy. But the truth is, that bridge had been burning for years. I was just the first person to stop pretending it was safe to walk across. Tyler ended up staying with an old friend. From what I heard, the expensive car went back soon after. Madison blocked him everywhere. Her family wanted nothing to do with him. My parents stayed in the small apartment they had hidden from me. They were angry at Tyler, but not enough to stop protecting him. Somehow, even after all of it, they still framed him as the person most harmed. He lost everything, my mother said in one voicemail. I wanted to call back and ask, what exactly did he lose that belonged to him? But I didn't. Because I knew she would not hear me. To my mother, Tyler lost a fiancé, a lifestyle, and a future. To me, he lost a costume. There is a difference. I did not walk away untouched. My credit did not repair overnight. The missed payments still left marks I had to dispute, explain, and work through. The condo I wanted went to someone else. My savings took a hit from legal advice and cleanup costs. The money from the sale was not some grand victory. It was just enough to stabilize the damage and remind me I had escaped before it got worse. But emotionally, the cost was heavier. I kept thinking about the night my parents came to my apartment. My mother crying. My father saying they needed a roof. The way I let myself believe that helping them would finally make me feel like part of the family instead of the emergency contact. Maybe that is what hurts most. Not that they lied, but that they knew exactly which part of me to use. They knew I wanted to be chosen, so they made me feel chosen just long enough to sign. For days, I replayed everything. Should I have warned them before selling? Should I have given Tyler one more chance? Should I have paid the missed amount and handled it more gently? But every version of that question asks me to save them again. And I am tired of being called responsible only when someone needs me to carry the consequences. A week after the sale, my mother left the voicemail that made me turn my phone face down. You saved yourself, she said. I hope your money keeps you warm at night because you do not have a family anymore. I sat with those words for a long time. Then I deleted the voicemail. Not because it did not hurt. Because I did not want to build a shrine to pain. I do not feel powerful. I do not feel cruel. I do not even feel fully free yet. What I feel is quiet. For the first time in my life, no one in my family has access to my bank account, my credit, my home, or my guilt. That silence is lonely. But it is also clean. I still love the people I lost. Cutting ties does not make your feelings disappear. It just means you stop letting those feelings make decisions that destroy you. Maybe Tyler will rebuild his life honestly. Maybe my parents will someday understand that protecting one child by sacrificing another is not love. Maybe they never will. All I know is this. I did not sell that house because I wanted revenge. I sold it because my name was on the line, and everyone who claimed to love me was willing to let me fall so Tyler could keep pretending. Now the house is gone. The lie is gone. The family table I spent years trying to earn a seat at is gone too. And maybe that is the real ending. Not victory. Not revenge. Just the moment you realize peace can feel like grief when you had to lose everyone to save yourself. Was I heartless for selling the house without warning them first, or did I finally do the only thing my family never taught me to do, choose myself?